You're listening to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge.
Hello and welcome to eLearnChat, our new podcast featuring prominent leaders, shakers and movers in the e-learning and training industry. Your co-hosts are Rick Zanotti and Terrence Wing.
The show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. You can visit us at www.relate.com. And also by Liquid Learn. You can visit that at www.liquidlearn.com. And hello, everyone. I'm Rick Zanotti, and this is our second episode of the year for eLearnChat. Now, today we've got a special guest. We've got Shamir Ayyappan from Adobe joining us. But before we get to Shamir, let me introduce you to our co-host, Terrence Wing. Hi, Terrence. How are you?
Hi, Rick. Hi, Shamir. Hope everybody's doing well out there. It's good to see you. This is our second show of the new year, and it happens to be on a freaky date too. 1-1-1-1-1-1.
1-1-1-1-1-1.
A lot of ones.
That's binary for the end of the world, but no.
I guess it is. Hey, from an administrative note, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are monitoring the live chat on Justin TV. So feel free to place your comments or questions for Shamir there, as well as on Twitter at hashtag eLearnChat. And you can also watch simulcast for this show on liquidlearn.com and also the ISD 2.0 Facebook fan page. This is a mouthful, Rick, at facebook.com/ISD20. I'll turn it back over to you, Rick. I think that's all the administrative stuff.
Well, great. Thank you. And wherever you are, thanks for joining us, and we hope you're having a great day. And today we've got a great guest. We have the product manager for Adobe Captivate, for the Adobe eLearning Suite, as well as now the Adobe Presenter product. And with us today is Shamir Ayyappan from Adobe. Hi, Shamir. How are you?
Hey, Rick. I'm doing good. How are you? Hey, Terrence.
Hi, Shamir.
We're doing great. And just so everyone knows, we are truly international today. Shamir is in Bangalore, India. We are in California. And then we've got people right now in the chat room. Leva from Belgium is in there. And we've got Jeff from Australia. And I'm not sure who else is in the chat room right now.
Wait, Randy Cantrell is in there, but I think we're losing Randy. To Dallas traffic.
Randy's a good friend. Hi, Randy. Anyway, so hi, Shamir. How have you been?
I've been good. So thanks once again, Rick, for hosting me. I've been hearing a lot about eLearnChat, and, since you mentioned it, definitely looking forward to participating in it. I was just apprehensive, as I said before, about the whole concept of Skype on my low bandwidth networks, but I'm glad I took you up on the offer. So
it actually looks great. And considering you're probably about 10,000 miles away, it doesn't look bad at all.
It's like you're right next door.
Right.
And we're seeing Skype used more and more on news shows. CNBC frequently brings their guests in on Skype. So I think we're getting accustomed to the little nuances and the little imperfections that we get with Skype. So we're getting more accustomed to them, which makes a show like this possible, where people aren't looking at it and saying, "Oh, I can't watch that ticking motion that Skype causes," because now they're seeing it just about everywhere.
And the nice thing.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Shamir.
No, I was just going to say, honestly, this is the first time that I'm using Skype. So, for a techie, I guess that's not something that's said, but truthfully, this is the first time. But it was really easy to set up, and I'm amazed at the product.
Yeah, I've only been on it for about a year, and it's great. It's just a real nice tool for a lot of reasons. Anyway, Shamir, let's talk about things going on with Adobe. You guys have had a big year with the release of Captivate 5, a major release. As well as the eLearning Suite too. So what new things can you talk about? What's happening in the future?
That's right. So as you said, it was one of our biggest releases for Captivate 5. As you're aware, we rebuilt the product pretty much from scratch. The whole product the code has been rewritten. It's now, previously it was based on Delphi, and now it's based on C++, and also the UI. So made use of this opportunity to revamp the UI to give it a more Adobe look and feel. I know some of you have complaints about the Adobe look and feel, but
only one thing.
I know the contrasts, but yes. So that's we've made use of this opportunity to get it to look more like an Adobe product, and to to be in a position to do a lot more powerful stuff with the product to make it more extensible. So I think that's what the UI gives us, and it doesn't. When Captivate started off, it was a screen capture tool, and moving in application capture was its forte. But as it grew into a complete rapid e-learning authoring tool, we really had to look at what would be a more apt UI, and I think that's what we've got currently.
You made the audience happy with that.
Was that one of your special effects? Okay.
No, that's the audience. Actually, they're live.
Okay. So, one of the other things you asked, I guess, was, so what are our plans? So we continue to focus on the e-learning suite, and what we are seeing in the market today is a lot more of the existing Captivate customers drifting towards e-learning suite. So I think in the last few months, I've visited customers across the US and Europe, and I've heard this across these geos, in terms of existing Captivate customers looking to move to e-learning suite. I think, I've seen both parts. I've seen people who really use the entire set of products in the suite and get the complete value. And, so they really want to move to e-learning suite. And I also think e-learning suite is now an aspirational product currently for a lot of e-learning professionals. It's more like, if you're an e-learning professional, you need to use the e-learning suite, or, doctors use Colgate types. So that's what we're saying. And so I think it's a good thing. And so because of that, we're going to focus a lot more on the suite and the workflows in the suite and how the products tie together to help you create much more richer e-learning in shorter time spans.
Well, one of the things we talked about a little bit in the pre-show was that because of the economy worldwide, really, more people have to do, or less people have to do more work. And that's where the benefit of just having more software comes in handy. If you have Captivate and you have 10 other tools with it, or 7 other tools, it makes a difference, especially if you don't have the resources to have 5 or 6 people doing the work. We're finding just a lot of people are doing the work of one person, or multiple persons. And that does cause people to become very creative in how they learn to use tools and what they use. Now, the e-learning suite's kind of the quarterback, if you will, Captivate is the quarterback of the e-learning suite in a lot of ways, correct?
That's right. So the way we've designed the suite is for, as you put it, for Captivate to be the quarterback, for Captivate to be like the fulcrum of the suite. So it acts like the aggregator from where you would start, start creating a framework for your project. And then once you have this framework or a template in place, you would reach out to the other asset creation tools in in the suite, like be it Photoshop or Soundbooth or even Flash for that matter, to bring in graphics or animations or audio and populate this template and framework so that you have a much richer e-learning project. And so Captivate helps pull all of this together. And so yes, Captivate definitely is the central product in that suite.
What were you finding that the Captivate users were complaining most about with the earlier versions of Captivate that Adobe listened to and decided to step up and answer those issues with Captivate 5?
So sorry, was there something else?
No, that was it.
Okay. So, Captivate currently has grown into a complete rapid e-learning tool. So, what I was trying to say there is Captivate is used by different people for different things. So you have a bunch of people who use Captivate for application simulations. You have a bunch of people who use Captivate for for the quizzes and publishing to the LMS, and you have a large set of people who use Captivate as the end-to-end authoring tool with other assets coming. So depending on which functionality or which segment of these three sets that I described you fall in, we had different sets of requirements coming in for the product. So from our existing users of Captivate, the requirement and the demand always was to make the tool more powerful. As we added features, people found new ways to push the envelope with the product, and really reach out and find new, really complex projects that they could create. And because of that, there were more requests for making the product more powerful, making it, at the same time, making it easier to author content in shorter time frames. So we tried to address both of those things, which, as you can imagine, is a little tricky because you're trying to make the product more powerful, at the same time make it a little more easier to use, at least make it possible for users to create content and manage content more easily. So from a more powerful perspective, we had the advanced actions that we had introduced. We improved on the advanced actions. We improved on how these worked with the widgets and the variables. So that we introduced the concept of effects in the product. So being able to add effects to different Captivate objects without having to go into Flash to do this. Those were things that we added, which made the product more powerful. From ease of use perspective, or from the perspective of being able to create content more easily, being able to manage content more easily, we introduced object styles, we introduced master slides. All of these allowed you to edit and maintain content much more easily in a much shorter time frame. So those were, I think, the two key things that we addressed in the product based on the requirements that were coming in.
Is it sounded like you said there that there was maybe not necessarily a shift, but an increase in the opportunity to animate or animate objects without the use of Flash. Is that to address some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the conflict that's going on now with the future of Flash?
Actually, no. So, the current conflict is about the publish format, right? It's
Yes.
about being able to publish it to Flash, and then different devices consuming this Flash-based content. So no, that's not what I was referring to. I was actually referring to the initial statement that Rick had made with, people having to wear multiple hats, people being expected to be the instructional designer, be the content developer, be the graphic designer. So in many cases, there will be a large set of people who are not familiar with Flash Pro, the authoring tool. And if you are creating a project that requires you to add some effects or some animations, previously you had to, hand off that part of the work to somebody who was familiar with Flash, be it a graphic designer or whatever. But now with us introducing this concept of effects inside Captivate, you will now be able to create this within Captivate, and Captivate is, to a large extent, fairly easy to use. So that's what I was referring to. And another nice thing that this FX does is you can have, really complex animations or effects that were created in Flash. And we have something called the motion XML, which represents the different, the combination of these effects. And you can bring that from, people can create that and they can give you this motion XML, or you can bring that motion XML into Captivate and apply that on any object to create that complex effect on that object in Captivate. So that's what I was referring to.
Okay. Leva is in our chat room, and she's asking a question here, a question and a comment. And the comment is that that it seems that there's less limitations on file size with Captivate 5 and the number of slides due to some of these new features. Is that true?
That's right. So again, as I was mentioning, as people start creating more and more complex projects, previously, I think most of our community experts and on our forums, when people ask about file size or the number of slides you want to have in a Captivate project, etc., everybody talks about like a 10-minute project or 50 to 100 slide Captivate project, which used to be the norm earlier, but we've continuously been improving on that. And currently, truly, I don't believe there is a size limit in terms of, number of slides or the duration that Captivate project can flow to. So we thoroughly test the product for greater than 500 slides in the project. So, even with the lower processing requirements that we set on our test machines, the project works, without a hitch. So those are things that we've taken care of. We've done things to help you, work with these large projects more easily. So we've introduced features like we've improved the preview and the publish speeds. So the preview times are lightning quick, and you can publish much more quickly than what you could previously in the previous version. So it definitely helps you work with larger projects more easily.
Okay. And Lever's, the second part of her question was, is there going to be an upgrade to Acrobat for eLearning Suite?
Okay, no. So with this current version of eLearning Suite, there's no upgrade planned to Acrobat 10. The reason is that when we create a suite, we look at it as a single product and not a bunch of products that are put together with a discount slapped on top of it. So because of basically when we do it that way, when we look at it as a single product, we have specific workflows between these products, and they are tightly integrated, which helps you create specific projects more easily. So these tight integrations between the products exist for these specific versions, and that makes it a single product as an eLearning Suite too. So because of that, we don't offer, you can't swap out one version and bring in another. So that's not possible. When we come out with the next version of eLearning Suite, at that point, you will have the latest version of Acrobat in it.
In other words, be patient.
Yes.
Anyway, it's sort of interesting. Terrence touched upon the controversy, if you will, between Flash on platforms. Actually, I don't think it's a controversy. I think it was strictly Apple and the rest of the world. And that's just Apple being Apple, I guess. They like to dominate their little world, and they want everybody to play in that little world. But Flash is used in just about everything, so sure. It's kind of an insane proposition, and I don't think they won it. So I think people have moved on, and supposedly you can actually run Flash indirectly on Apple devices like iPads and iPhones. It's just that it's not direct at this moment, but hopefully in the future it will be.
That's true. So actually, if you have the eLearning Suite, Captivate has a workflow which allows you to author content for the iDevices. So if you have the eLearning Suite, when you're publishing the Captivate content, we offer you a checkbox which enables the specific Swift file, the Flash file, for consumption on iDevice. And if you've checked that checkbox, then the Swift that you output, you would be able to take that and run it through the Notice app, which is part of the eLearning Suite in Flash and in Flash Pro, and it creates a file that can be uploaded on to iTunes for consumption on the iPhone. So that is possible today.
That's a Flash file, though?
It's not a Flash file. So obviously a Flash file wouldn't play on this, right? Mm-hmm. But it's an app which can run on the iPhone.
Okay.
So that's a standard workflow that we have today, yes.
What kind of, so you could put the eLearning content on that kind of on that app, and it would run in either an
That's
iPad?
right. That's right. So you take a regular Captivate project, you publish a regular Captivate project, and in the Captivate Publish dialog, we have a checkbox for enable Swift for iPhone, I believe it says. So as long as you check that, then your Swift file, your Flash file, is enabled for consumption on an iPhone. And then you need to run this Swift through the Notice app, which is part of Flash Pro and eLearning Suite. And this spits out iPhone application, which will then play on an iPhone.
And that's good.
That's right. When you talk to Rick, even when he's not on Skype, he carries around his iPad, so you hear those sound effects no matter what.
I mean, even from the device's perspective, and Rick did touch upon it, right? So we do believe that what we are seeing, in terms of trends for the future, we do believe that a lot of people are going to be consuming content on these tablets and mobile devices. I think like a couple of days ago, I was seeing how the number of tablets in the US is going to grow. Wow, something's wrong with the light here. Okay, it's going to grow like 5 times by 2012. So, from what it was in 2010.
Yeah, actually, and it's interesting. Right now, they're saying the iPad still dominates in tablets, and it will probably continue to dominate for at least another year, though you've got tablets like the Samsung, I forgot what they call it, the Samsung tablet, I guess.
The Galaxy Tab.
The Galaxy Tab, that's it. It's getting good reviews, and it runs Flash, so technically you could actually deploy any kind of content on it right now, e-learning content or whatever. So we're getting there, slowly but surely, as far as tablets go. Now the key is creating software that works for the tablet, and there's some good stuff out there. Some of it's not quite as good as it could be. Other stuff is great. It's just a different paradigm. And the thing is, will corporations invest in tablets for for the future? That's I guess where we'll have to see, or is it strictly going to be on the home entertainment side? So we'll have to see where that fleshes out. I don't know any companies yet who are buying.
Actually,
do you know some?
I mean, so again, as I said, in the recent past, many of the large companies that I've spoken to have expressed interest in, introducing tablets and mobile devices for the workforce. A lot of people have gone out and got the devices themselves and now would like to have that content, e-learning content on those devices. So I think a lot of people are getting serious. The requirement for having content on these devices is every large corporation I speak to expresses an interest in it. I don't see many people nowadays who say, no, it's not something I'm looking at.
That's good.
At least they are considering it. If they've not yet implemented it, they are at least considering it. And I think that's only going to grow. If the number of tablets are going to grow 5 times from 2010 to 2012, and I believe around a quarter of the internet-connected population in the US will have a tablet device by 2012. That's what the statistics said. And that was like the Forrester survey, which was done a week ago or something. That's a lot of tablets, and this doesn't include any of your iPhones and all these smartphones. So I'm guessing a lot of content is going to be consumed that way, and it makes sense for people to be prepared to, have content delivered in that means.
Terrence, do we have any other questions for Shamir in the chat room at this point?
I am not understanding this one from Leva, but she's saying that is there a possible conflict with TCS3? And unfortunately, I don't know what TCS3 is.
Technical Communication Suite.
Okay.
So I don't understand in terms of, what could be a conflict, but I'm happy to announce that we just launched the Technical Communication Suite yesterday, last night, which is officially today morning in the US. So yes, the new Technical Communication Suite is out, and it has the latest versions of RoboHelp, FrameMaker, Captivate, Photoshop, and Acrobat. So yes, the TCS3 actually has Acrobat 10, I believe, yes.
Well, that's an interesting suite, Shamir, because you've got mainly a publishing suite, but Captivate's in that. Is that for creating online help or online demos, just-in-time training?
It's not for training. It is a technical communication suite, and what we are seeing is that a lot of the TechCom folks are actually adding multimedia content to the help files that they create, to the documentations that they create. So in a lot of places, when you have content created using RoboHelp, other than a step-by-step instructions, they also have a video which is captured using Captivate, and that seems to be a very popular workflow, and that's the reason Captivate is part of the suite.
What kind of things, and can you give us any hints as to what might be coming in Captivate 5, for example?
Captivate 5 is already out, but...
I'm sorry.
Yes.
6.
So
Rick
in terms
Rick
of...
is eager.
Sorry, was somebody else saying something, or is it just my audio?
No, go ahead, Shamir.
Okay. So in terms of, future versions, obviously we don't really discuss the features, but it's something that we've started work on, so I can say that. And we definitely believe that, one of the key areas that we will focus on is the subject that we just discussed previously, which is being able to publish to different form factor devices, being able to support our content on tablets and phones and the mobile devices. So that's definitely going to be a big focus for us.
So
and I believe that's where the industry is headed, and we'll be supporting that.
So you're seeing that as a real place people are going.
Yes. At least by the time we come out with the next version, I think that would be one of the key differentiators, yes.
Well, we don't have any more questions in the chat room, more just statements, and it looks like kudos as well for um, the work you're doing on Captivate, but no questions. So we're seeing that Leva is commenting that Captivate is fully functional in RoboHelp, but um, not in Acrobat, excuse me, and that the RoboHelp integration is a great idea. I'm sorry, I'm trying to paraphrase the
Well, actually,
the
Captivate
tweets.
works well in Acrobat 9, where you could actually publish a Captivate file into Acrobat, and it works. We actually do that for one of our clients. We create every e-learning piece we create in Captivate. We then create a PDF for it, and they keep that in their archives. And they found it a real easy way for backup. Should an LMS collapse for any odd reason, should the LMS fail, they have backups through PDF, which is sort of an interesting approach. Are you finding people doing things like that, Shamir?
Yeah, so I mean, Captivate is also part of the Acrobat suite, in addition to the TechCom suite and the eLearning suite. So when Acrobat 10 came out, that was one of the things that we introduced, the new Acrobat suite. And so we do have tight integration with Acrobat, even inside eLearning suite itself, being able to package your Swifts inside the PDF as, really multimedia PDFs. That's an attractive way to share the content or publish the content. So we're definitely seeing more of that and more requirements for that.
That's good. We have a quiet audience today. I think they're too afraid to ask questions.
We do.
Usually they're
the
noisy.
information is just so overwhelming, that it's silencing them, that they now have a new tool.
Okay, audience, come on. You guys are boring. Let's go. Come on, audience.
Yeah, even the tweet stream is a little dried up this week, so it could be the weather. That's what
I think what it is everybody's actually really focused on work again. The vacations are over. Everybody's concentrating.
Yeah, those
That's
inboxes
true.
that filled up.
They filled up. Everybody's back to it.
And we're at the 10:30 mark, Rick, too. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on the time there.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, Shamir, would you like to share anything else that's going on with Adobe's approach to e-learning? What you guys are seeing as key factors in e-learning, maybe trends in the industry, and how Adobe's looking to work with some of those trends?
Sure. So, one of the trends we did touch upon, and we've been trying to address that for the past couple of releases now, and that's that, given the economy, given how the tools have improved, what we're seeing is that no longer any specializations in the learning industry in terms of an instructional designer, a content developer, or a graphic designer, but people in the training and development departments just wear multiple hats, and everybody is most of the places that I go to, people are responsible for creating the content end to end. So there might be somebody who is a little better than everybody else in Flash, or there might be somebody who is a little better than everybody else in graphic design, but doesn't mean that they are responsible just for graphic design or they are responsible just for Flash. Everybody does projects end to end, and they wear multiple hats. So that's definitely a trend that we are seeing in the industry in terms of creating content end to end. The other key trend that we are seeing is that, again, because of the economy, a lot of the classroom-based training is moving into e-learning. And a lot of the erstwhile stand-up trainers, people who used to deliver deliver classroom-based training, are now being asked to take up e-learning authoring or lose their jobs. And we are seeing a lot of these trainers transition into e-learning authors. And that's actually one of the biggest growing segments for us that we are addressing with our products currently. And that's the reason I'm excited about taking on Presenter currently, because I think Adobe Presenter is a much more targeted tool for this set of audience which is coming in, and it helps them author their content in PowerPoint and create really rich e-learning right from within that context. And at some point when they feel that they are ready to take the next step, they can move on to the entire e-learning suite from that point in time. They can grow as they go, if you will. So that's the concept that we are currently excited about and trying to address. That's the need of this large set of users who are coming in new into e-learning, into this e-learning space. So, we introduced the entire round-trip workflow in Captivate, which allows you to author inside PowerPoint and bring this content into Captivate. Now with Presenter, we believe, it becomes a lot more easier again for you. So that's the trend.
A lot of people ask me, why in the suite, why do you have Presenter versus Captivate, since they both do PowerPoint? They're a little bit different. I mean, they obviously have a different approach. One is inside of PowerPoint. The other one can work with PowerPoint. What's your answer to that when people say, why Presenter versus Captivate and vice versa?
Okay, so a lot of people Rick, you've been doing this for ages, so for you, doing it in PowerPoint would be a really big no-no, or I'm guessing a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time would frown upon people who do this.
I actually like PowerPoint. It's okay. I mean, it has its place.
I know.
It has its place where you can convert content quickly. And we've used PowerPoint within Captivate as well as independently with Presenter and other tools, and it works well. But I'm just curious as to, when people ask, what's a good answer to give them? Why would you use Captivate over Presenter or Presenter over Captivate? What are the benefits, I guess, of each in just a kind of short nutshell?
Yeah. So again, so where I was headed with that was people who are new to this space completely, get the difference between authoring inside PowerPoint versus bringing your PowerPoints into Captivate and then adding quizzes and other content from the Captivate interface, because they feel a little more comfortable doing the entire thing from within PowerPoint. But I guess the key difference is that if you are creating, as you said, if you're putting together something quickly inside PowerPoint, and if your project is going to be, purely PowerPoint based without too many interactions required, etc., then Presenter is the answer. If your project requires, more than the initial PowerPoint slides, if it's going to require more branching, more interactivity, then you have to look at Captivate to do that. So that would be the way to differentiate between the products.
Yeah, one difference I see that we run into is with Captivate, I have a lot more control over the objects. Well, you have the media library, which really helps, so you have reusability of objects, but also each object can be tracked by the LMS. So every object that exists in Captivate actually can be tracked in an LMS object for whatever reason you may want to track it. So that's one of the differentiators I usually talk about, why I would use Captivate maybe over PowerPoint for some projects. And again, for other projects, PowerPoint works perfectly well, or a combination thereof works really well.
That's true.
Well, we're kind of getting close to the hour. Terrence, any more comments in the chat room?
There was one. I'm not sure if it did get answered. Here it is. Would it ever be possible to use the right-click functionality in CP-SWFs in Acrobat? I don't know. Is that Captivate Swift files in Acrobat?
Okay. So, so there is a restriction currently which prevents us from being able to support it, but it's something that I think we should have a workaround that, maybe by the next release. So as we mentioned previously, we are working much more tightly with the Acrobat teams, and you will actually see more tighter integration and more features for the Acrobat-based workflows when we come out with the next version. So, some of these things also would be included in it. So potentially, yes, I should say. At least it's in our list currently for consideration, and I'm hoping some of this might get done.
And one workaround you can make is if you have to use a right click and you don't have that capability, get a graphic of a mouse, cut it out, put it somewhere on the screen, highlight the right button, click, and then click on that button. So at least they get the feeling that they're actually clicking on something. They'll click on an image of the mouse button, and that'll simulate the right click. We've done that in a lot of training, and it works pretty well. It's a quick workaround to limitations in software.
That's true.
All right. Well, we are pretty much at about 40 minutes right now, so we're going to thank Shamir very much for joining us today. It's very late his time. He's had a full long day, and he's up late, almost midnight his time to be here. So we really appreciate that. It's almost 11 o'clock our time, so we're pretty wide open, wide awake, and cheery, and you're having to stay awake late. So we do appreciate you coming in late for that too, and sharing what's going on with Adobe and eLearning and some of the trends that you see. Terrence, any final questions or answers, questions, comments?
Yeah. More of a comment that thanks for staying up late. You're a better man than I am. I'd be asleep at 9:30. But
thanks. More of the special effects.
There,
okay. Thanks for hosting me, guys. It was fun as always. Definitely enjoyed chatting with you and answering the questions that Leva and the others had. So hopefully the audience enjoyed listening to me, and look forward to meeting you guys in person soon, maybe at the Adobe Learning Summit. So
and hopefully we'll have you back on again. Well, for eLearnChat, I'm Rick Zanotti. I'm joined by Terrence Wing in the upper window over here. Thanks again to Shamir Ayyappan from Adobe for joining us, and we will see you all next week. Again, thanks everybody. Have a good day and have a good week. Goodbye, Terrence.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, Shamir.
Bye, Rick.